Hi. For today's video, I thought I would do a little request video. Again, you've been asking me if I would do a video about some of my movies or music. I've put out videos like this already, but I think with a video that I haven't done yet is probably a video talking about my movie shows or TV shows that I watch. When you're a busy man like me, that there's always something to do, it's hard to find the time to sit down and just watch a show or a movie. Well, what I do is I try to fix myself up that in the evenings, when I've completed all my chores and all my tasks of whatever I'm doing, I like to take some time and watch my shows. Now, you think that I would be mostly into the action and, the suspense. Well, that's true. I am. But I do like a good drama once in a while, or a soft movie, or even a cartoon or an animation. Like, if we start with the list, first what I do is when I'm going to have my supper, okay, well, I'll back up a bit. When I'm going to have my lunch, what I do is I like watching cooking shows, like MasterChef, My Kitchen Rules. I also watch Hell's Kitchen. That Gordon Ramsay is one hard, I won't say the word, but, it starts with an A, he's a tough guy. But not like that in real life, I don't think. I guess not, Anyways, I watch that. I watch baking shows. I like the baking shows. Because, of course, I like to learn about different recipes. Yeah, cooking. So I'll watch those at lunch. Then, when comes supper time, what I do is I'll watch the game shows. I'll watch Family Feud, because Family Feud, you have the American one, with, he's the man, Harvey, he's the man, Or you've got the English Canadian one with Jerry, So I'll watch either one of those, or I'll watch Wheel of Fortune while I'm having my supper. So, because they're only half an hour. That's about the time it takes me to have my supper. So, I'll watch those. Then, what I do is I'll complete my dishes or whatever I have left. If I've got work outside to complete, I'll go do that. Get that over with. So then, when the evening comes, you see, because a lot of times I'll make my videos after supper, like later in the evening, when all the grown children are going to bed. Yes, because they're very noisy during the day. So am I. So I like to make my videos when everything is quiet at night. Then, once I've done my videos, when I have to do the editing, then I'll sit down and I'll put on a TV show that I've most likely recorded before. Now I'm following, like I followed The Rookie. I watch that. I watch all the NCIS shows. I like those, There's always something going on. And recently, I started following The Marshals. Started watching that show. It's so, follows back, with Yellowstone. You want bringing it up, and it's okay, but I prefer, some of the other action shows, that if I'm gonna watch, like I said, The Rookie. FBI, no. I was following that for a while. And honestly, I could think of another word to give the FBI, Federal Bureau of, they can never catch their man. No, I just, and the way they dress, are they federal agents or are they athletes, in their tights? Well, that's my opinion, if you want. Anyways, other shows that I'm watching in the investigation shows, Chicago PD. I like that one, Well, you have all the ones like 911. I don't watch that. No. It reminds me too much of when I was working in the call center. Yeah. But 911 is really exaggerated. It's like way out there. Anyways, don't watch that one. And I watch, we're talking TV shows here. I haven't started a list of any of movies that I watch. But like I said, I've also talked about movies in my previous videos. So we'll skip that for today, for that. But the TV shows, you got the new CIA show that's come out. But also, like I said, if I'm watching my regular shows that I watch, I have Saint Pierre. That's a show on CBC. Yeah, it's another detective show, Canadian detective show. It's very good. I like it. You have also, I've been following Below Deck Yacht Under. Below Under Deck Yacht Under Deck. below. Yep. I've been following that one. It's wacky. You know, it's, I don't know if it should be called the Love Boat, because the crew are always in some kind of turmoil. But it's nutty. It's okay. I don't like those other housewife shows or anything like that. No, I don't follow those ones. They're too much for me. That's like too much. Then you have like other shows like, these are older shows too. Some of them like Killjoys. That reminds me of when I used to watch Andromeda. Yeah. With Kevin Sorbo, Andromeda. I used to follow that. But then, of course, they came out now with Star Trek Academy. I watched all of that. Interesting. Very, very subtle as a show, but different from Star Trek, because I've seen all the Star Trek shows, going like way back, like when I was a kid with William Shatner as Captain Kirk. And I have watched all of those. I was fascinated. And then, of course, as I got older, then when the new Star Treks came out, of course, I had to follow those. But it got a little bit out of hand, I would say. I think Star Trek wanted to push too much to end up being like Star Wars, and I got disinterested, if you want, in that. But then they came out with the Star Trek, the new movies. The 1 was okay. The 2, I watched it okay. The 3, no. Then they started losing me again. But I'm not supposed to be talking about movies. I'm supposed to be talking about my TV shows that I watch. So, like, the ones that I've listed so far, are basically the ones I try and watch the most. But then you have some of the other shows like The Librarians. I watch that. What else do I watch on that? Basically, the other shows. There was this other show too, back that I used to follow, that I used to watch. But I'm trying to remember the name of it. Way back, besides Columbo, of course. That, I've seen them all. Sometimes too, like I would watch Murder, She Wrote. Watch that a lot. Shows, but there was this one show, and it was a mystery show, sort of like Clue, like the movie Clue, but it was a weekly show, and I'm trying so hard. It was way back when. It's been a long time. I would have to do a Google search about it. Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, maybe something like, because it was sort of like Sherlock Holmes, but it wasn't Sherlock Holmes. Anyways, I'm gonna Google it, and I'll come back sometime with you, or I'll be able to put it in the comments, or unless you know it. But anyway, it'll come back to me eventually, But that's what I was saying. Like, as I'm watching these shows, or some of the newer shows, like, when was it? The other night, I watched the first episode of MIA. That could be an interesting show. We'll find out how it goes on that, with the new future series that are coming out. But also, I wanted to mention that it's so hard to schedule time to be able to sit down and watch these shows, because I'm a very active kind of guy. I don't like to have to sit down and watch a show at a certain hour or a certain time. That's why I record them, because that way I can be doing things and watching my shows at the same time. Or I can just sit down when everything's done, when I've completed everything. I can sit down, just relax, pop open a beer, maybe have some popcorn, and just watch some of my shows. Yeah. That's a good way that I like to relax at the end of an evening. Because on the weekends, you must know, of course, there's not a whole lot of TV shows as much as movies. And when it comes to the movies, which I'll come back at another time, but just to give you a heads up, when you have cable TV, there's a lot of repeats. Everything repeats over and over and over again. So what I like to do is I like to go online, okay? If I missed an episode, or if I'm looking for something different, I'll get it online. Yeah, like Survivor. I've watched Survivor for how many years now? I can't miss my Survivor. I have to watch that. I like the competitions. Yeah, and now, when it's Survivor 50, they brought back the old survivors, brought them back to compete. And of course, Big Brother. I really like watching Big Brother. I watch Big Brother Canada, but they're not doing it no more. So now I've got Big Brother US, and it'll be coming out, I think they said at the end of July or something like that. So I got that to look forward to that's coming. Because when you're watching Big Brother, there's a lot of melodrama, a lot of backstabbing, and a lot of chitter chatter. So I like watching that. That's why I said I have to record these shows, because sometimes you can't watch them all in one evening. But it doesn't matter, because a lot of times the shows, they're not on every night. It's like once a week. So if I'm watching shows like that, and then, of course, like I said, if I'm going to be in the kitchen cooking, I'll have my cooking shows that I watch that I also pre-recorded for that. So I'm a very busy man when it comes to TV, you see, but only mostly in the evenings. I won't wake up, it's very rare that I'll wake up in the morning, depending what time I've got to bed at night, and I'll wake up, but I won't watch TV right away. Like, I used to watch the cartoons when I used to wake up when I was young. Used to like waking up and having my bowl of cereal while watching the cartoons. That was fun. But as I got older, of course, then the cartoons got weirder, so I didn't watch them. And then I started, changing my routine as I got older. So I'd have my coffee. Then I had internet, of course. I'd go check things on the internet, like my channel, of course, while having my coffee. Or I'll watch a couple of those reels. Because also, another thing too that I'm hooked on is those reels or the YouTube shorts, They are so entertaining, especially the animal ones. The things those animals do. Wow. Some of the things that people do. But the animals are funnier. So that too, I've got to have time for that. Somewhere, somehow, I have to fit, at least 10 to 20 minutes of that somewhere during the day if possible. So basically, that's a lot of my entertainment vlog for today. Basically, the things that I watch and some of the things that I like to watch. And of course, there'll be new ones and new things coming out the more we head towards the fall. Because during the winter, I would say that's when I spend the max of my time watching my shows. Because when it's cold out and there's not much to do besides shoveling snow, when there is some, or taking care of the wood stove, or cooking, I'll watch more of the shows. And that, I would say, is when the networks put on most of the more recent ones. So I try and catch up and stay in tune with that as much as I can, But it's a good thing. There's always something new coming out to watch. So, everyone, take care. I hope you enjoyed this little chit-chat, fill you in of my entertainment goals. And don't forget, we love you. And be catching you on our next adventure. And as you can tell, I've got a different setup right now that I'm trying to with my new microphone stand And I'm not sitting down. I'm standing up now. Yeah, I'm standing up. So it's a sound test at the same time. So take care. Bye for now. Bye.